Hey guys, Nick here from Just Feet Studios, and welcome back to another movie review. Today we are doing a movie review for Black Panther. Now, before this review really begins, this is spoiler free, so if you've not seen Black Panther, don't worry about it. If you want me to make a spoiler video, let me know in the comment section down below. Now also, before I really get into this review, let me give you a quick little background on my Black Panther knowledge, so you have that going into it. And to be honest with you, Black Panther's not one of those superheroes where I'm very familiar with them. In fact, the main place I know Black Panther from is a lot of, not his comics, but the comics where he crosses over with other characters, like there are some Avengers comics that I've known him from, and TV shows, movies, things like that. I've never been a huge Black Panther fan. I've never gone deep into the lore of Wakanda, so please forgive me in that regard, so I won't know all the nitty-gritty details from the comics. I know the basics, don't worry, I knew the basics going into this movie. But I don't know the, well, actually, the Black Panther's suit doesn't come from the vibranium in the mountain, it comes from here instead. I don't know that side of the comic lore, so please forgive me with that. And because I was never huge into the Black Panther's mythos, I didn't have really high expectations for this movie. I was going in kind of with the mindset of, it'll be another Marvel film, you know what? So it'll probably be good, won't be perfect, but it will be something. And wow. Right off the bat, I'm gonna say, this is probably the best MCU film I have seen in years. Again, I didn't have super high expectations. I went in kind of very open-minded, and man, did it work. I was absolutely amazed by this movie. But let's start with the pros and really break down what I love so much about it, starting with the script. A lot of the MCU films are very formulaic, to where Marvel knows their audience are going to pander to that, but in terms of this being a film that has a very well thought out script with a lot of subtext and meaning behind it, typically that's where they're lacking. But this film, the story was so good, and as a scriptwriter, director, all that kind of stuff, I knew a lot of the things they were going for in terms of the structure. That actually made it such a compelling story. And then you got characters like T'Challa, who, not just in the writing were good, but in the acting. Chadwick Boseman absolutely killed it as Black Panther in Civil War. I thought he was good, but nothing great, and I wasn't too sure. I'm glad they had the accent, because that was how he would talk, because he's from Africa. But I wasn't sure how that would work in a 2-hour movie, but no, it worked amazingly well. So Chadwick Boseman was just absolutely fantastic as T'Challa / the Black Panther, and I love that this movie really dealt with not the typical superhero thing of, well, I have to be good, you know, and I have to save the people to do the stuff. That's not what this film was about. It was kind of that balance of being the Black Panther and being a good king and trying to find where he can do both and kind of making his kingship his own. And he wasn't the only amazing actor. You also got the fantastic villains. Normally, villains are something that Marvel lacks in, but I thought both of the villains of this film were fantastic. Andy Serkis as Ulysses Claus, and then Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger. I thought they were both great. We saw a little snippet of Andy Serkis playing Ulysses Claus in Age of Ultron, and I'm going to be honest with you, I wasn't a huge fan of Age of Ultron. And his character in that movie was very much so shoehorned in, really for a Black Panther Easter egg. That was the whole purpose of it being there. But having seen him in this film, oh my god, his character's great. And Killmonger is a very good villain. He's up there with the Lokis and the Vultures of the MCU in terms of good villains. You clearly saw his motivation. And it did what all movies should have in their villain, is you really understand them. It's not so much evil for the sake of evil, it's, I see where you're coming from, on paper you have good intention, but you're going about it in the worst way possible. And that's the villain that we see in Black Panther, and that's what I love about Killmonger. I could gush about this movie for a long time, but let's get into the things that I didn't think were as strong in this movie. Starting with the action, that's one of the things that I've seen people go at this movie for, and there was only one action scene that I did not think was done well at all, and that was one of the first ones, unfortunately. It was a scene where basically it's nighttime, and you're kind of in the safari part of Africa, and the scene is lit by muzzle flashes, and it just didn't turn out well at all, I felt. It's the kind of thing that on paper and with a director who's good with that kind of stuff, he could do that and make it amazing, but this director unfortunately kind of just thought of the idea and didn't execute it as well as it could have been, so it just turned into a worse version of jump cuts. I could not tell what was going on in that fight, and the whole time I was thinking, this could be awesome, but it's really not. A lot of the other action scenes I was okay with. They weren't anything super amazing, but they weren't bad. That was the only one that I was like, ugh, this is not good. And there were also some moments where the VFX looked unfinished. It wasn't that bad or that noticeable. Just the kind of thing where I'd be sitting there in the theater and go, huh, they could spend a little bit more time on that. It wasn't the god-awful, oh my god, how did they let that get on the screen bad. It was just you notice it. Not god-awful, but not at the standard Marvel typically is. Now this is the one that kind of bugged me, and that's the score/soundtrack. You can really lump both of those into the one here. They released the score before the movie came out, or the soundtrack before the movie came out, sorry. And everyone was gushing about how good it was, including myself. I haven't listened to the whole thing yet, but just a lot of the songs I had listened to, I thought, oh my god, this is great. This movie's gonna have a killer soundtrack. And it really didn't, and that's a problem that Marvel's had for a long time, is their score is not super recognizable. Like, if I asked you to hum the score for Star Wars, you could probably do it. If I asked you to hum the score for Jurassic Park, you could probably do that. But if I asked you to do that for someone like Captain America, or, I don't know, Vision, or the Hulk, you couldn't really do that. And especially with Kendrick Lamar behind the music, I was really hoping to hear some really fantastic stuff, but I only really noticed the music during one moment, and that was just for the sake of shoehorning the song in a moment where it wasn't totally needed. And especially when you watch, like, the Oscar films, you notice how important a good score is, and I feel like if they had made music a bigger part of this movie, it really could have benefited them. So that's all I can really say about this movie without diving into spoiler territory. If you want me to talk about spoilers, let me know in the comment section down below. I can make a second video about that. But what do I give Black Panther on my normal 1 to 10 rating scale? I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10 stars. This movie felt like a Phase 1 MCU movie, which really made me happy. I'm so glad it was as self-contained as it was, and I thought this film was everything it needed to be. Sure, the action could have been better, sure the score could have been better, sure the VFX could have been better, but in the grand scheme of this film as a whole, I think it accomplished everything I wanted it to, and so much more. 'Cause I'd take good script, good acting, good villains, over the other three things, any day. But I know what you're asking. How would Black Panther do on a date? And again, my date night rate depends girl to girl or guy to guy, but the standard that I'm going to give Black Panther for a date night rate is 7 out of 10 stars. Because there's definitely better stuff out there, not 50 Shades, but there's definitely better stuff out there. In Black Panther, it's just a really good film overall, but I don't think there's a whole lot that really lends itself to being an amazing date movie in particular. It's just a good movie. So what did you think of Black Panther? Let me know in that comment section down below. I would love to hear your thoughts. And there was a lot I refrained from talking about in this review, so if you want me to continue talking about Black Panther, again, let me know in the comment section down below. And please like, favorite, comment, and subscribe. Share this video with all your friends, and I will see you guys on the next video. Stay classy. Later. Woo!